Welcome to Lineups and Lures, where the talk runs from the dugouts to drift boats. We're all about the games we play and the waters we fish, the stories, the rivalries, the moments that keep us coming back. If it happens under the lights or out on the water, we're in. This is Lineups and Lures. Well, we're back on Lineups and Lures, and Super Bowl's 2 weeks away. We just got done with NFC Championships. I say we change gears a little bit, and let's talk some baseball. It's been a while.
So we'll call an audible for the day, if you will.
Yeah.
And we'll get back to football next time.
So there's a lot of stuff going on in Major League Baseball. Obviously, free agency is going on. There's still the Skubal trade floating around at what they're going to do. But let's talk about something close to home.
Okay.
Rick Rizz announces his retirement after this season. Do you realize there's only been 2 play-by-play announcers in Seattle Mariners history?
Pretty awesome, isn't it?
And both iconic names. And I was talking to my dad earlier, and we were talking about this. And it's like you kind of take Rick Rizz for granted. Because, you had Dave Niehaus and all of his iconic things. And then all of a sudden, Rick Rizz kind of just slides in. And he's actually had some pretty good calls and stuff over the course of his career.
Yeah, and I think he fits the mold for what a hometown announcer should be, right? You've got to give very good analysis of the game, but you've got to be 10% homer along the way. You got to be.
Absolutely.
Because if you're not 10% homer, it's just not what the fans want. You got to give them what they want. And he calls a great game. He's got a couple of funny lines he likes to use. And like you said, one of the things about the hometown guy is the familiarity, right? I mean, you think about listening to the radio and the Blazers, Brian Wheeler was awesome. Yep. I mean, he had his quirks and he had his lines, but you knew what you were getting from Wheels on an everyday night. Nothing against Travis. I think he's doing a great job now, but he hasn't been doing it for 20 years yet, so he's not there yet.
No.
But, yeah, so it's no, I totally agree with it. I mean, I remember growing up, in Australia listening to the cricket commentating and the Australian rules football commentary team and, the same guys week in, week out. And, yeah, you expected it, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there's just something about turning on the TV and you hear the guy's voice and, you're just kind of like, all right, everything is good now.
Mm-hmm.
I remember sitting in the fishing boat listening to the Mariner games on the radio back in the 90s. Dave Niehaus in his calls, Rick Rizz in his calls. I mean, it's just iconic. And it's.
You mean like Sunday Night Football?
A little bit, yes.
Yeah.
But, 72 years old and time to get away and go on to the next chapter, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the other thing to remember is that that's a 7-8 month commitment. And your family doesn't get, it's one thing when you're on the homestand, but you're on a road trip for 8, 10, 12 days at a time. And maybe Mama Bear just said, you know what? I'd like to do some traveling in the summer and not in whatever town you're going to be in this week. So.
Well, that's the hard part. I mean, at 70 years old, you're literally sitting in a city for 3 days, 4 days, and then you're off to the next one for 3, 4 days. And then maybe you get a homestand, you're home for a week. You're on the road a lot.
And I think the other thing to realize is that, these guys are professional commentators. They don't just show up at game time and call the game. No. There's a lot of homework going on there. I'm sure they're on the plane doing their homework on the upcoming team and what's happening in the league and whatever big stories are on. And yeah, it's a commitment. So it isn't just showing up for game day. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that goes on. And, I'm sure it's been a great ride, but probably time for him to say next.
Well, and let's not forget that just when the game's over, it's not like they go home either. They got post-game interviews, they got post-game prep, they got prep for the next day. It's all kinds of stuff. So should be interesting. So it looks like Aaron Goldsmith will probably be the one that takes over for him.
Okay.
He's kind of been his right-hand man on TV stuff. So you kind of wouldn't you kind of think that Rick Rizz hasn't really had a full-time color man. So you probably move a guy from TV, or do you go in and bring somebody else completely new? Because, it's Dave Valley some days, it's Buhner some days, it's
Ryan Roland Smith some days.
Yeah. So, who do you think might replace him?
I think the beauty of what the Mariners have is they have a number of names and faces and continuity where maybe for a while they do a kind of a trial by committee, if you will, and just kind of see what works best. And, a lot of those guys have got other ventures going on other than just their commentary. So some of them might be like, hey, I mean, you look at what Ryan Rowland-Smith's doing with his next gen baseball, and I get the feeling that he's kind of dabbling into the representation side of things as well. I can definitely see that with some of the Australian athletes coming through. So, I mean, he was there on Bazana's draft day, and, so I think he might have some aspirations of doing other things. I mean, I don't know that. That's pure speculation, but I'm just looking at what I see. So some of these guys might be like, hey, I'm great for the homestand, but I can't do the road thing. And other guys might be like, hey, I don't mind doing the road, or I'll do this trip, you do that trip, and, kind of split it up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's any one name that comes to mind, a good replacement. But, 2026, last season for Rick Rizz. Does it end with a World Series title?
Well, let's hope so.
Get ready for the 2026 season at Portland Baseball Club. Whether you're looking to fine-tune your skills or stay sharp during the offseason, we've got the perfect training option for you. From individual private lessons to camps and monthly membership programs, PBC has everything you need to elevate your game this winter. Our personalized lessons offer one-on-one instruction from top-tier coaches, focusing on hitting, pitching, fielding, catching, and more. For those looking for group training, our camps and total player program provide intense skill-building sessions designed to keep players engaged and improving week after week. Looking for the all-inclusive plan? Our total player program gives you unlimited access to training sessions throughout the entire winter. No matter what age or skill level, Portland Baseball Club has a program to help you reach your goals this winter. Join us and take your game to new heights in 2026. Sign up today and get ahead of the competition. For more details, visit portlandbaseballclub.com. All right, let's continue on the MLB side. So, free agency. We're kind of nearing spring training. We're about a month out from start of spring training. A little bit less, actually, probably 3 weeks. There's still some big free agents out there. Where do you think they're going to end up? And do you want to go name by name, or should we just kind of talk in general?
We could go name by name.
All right, so Suarez, Gino.
Gino may not even start the season on a roster. I think, not that he's not going to play or not that he couldn't start on this. I think he wants the right fit.
Yes.
He don't got too many years left in the tank. Gino is what Gino is. He's probably a net neutral on the defense these days. He's certainly not a plus anymore. Might even be slightly negative on the defense. He's probably going to hit you 35 home runs. He's also going to strike out 200 times. So you got to you get what you get with Gino, and I think it's going to be the right fit. And I think he still wants to get paid. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, there's a number of places that he could go, and we'll see. So, yeah.
Come on. There's only one place that makes sense. He should be back in Seattle. Because there's not any other names out there that you go, all right, that's an upgrade at third or an upgrade at second or an upgrade at DH.
Well, unless our rookie who was going to be our shortstop plays third base for a little bit this year and you give that a shot.
Okay, but what if he starts off the season and is not getting the job done, and now all of a sudden Gino went and signed with somebody else? Now you're giving up prospects to bring him back, or somebody else, right?
Look, I'm sure the conversation is being had, and maybe the problem is Gino wants a 2-3 year deal and Seattle only wants to give him one. And because he could work perfectly. He can play third base most of the time. He can certainly DH. And now that Seattle's catching situation is a little bit uncertain this year. We brought in some veterans, but we don't know which one's going to be Cal's backup. Cal's probably going to catch 110 to 115 games, which means he's going to DH 45, 50 times a season because that bat's not coming out of the lineup.
Absolutely. And he needs those days off from catching.
He does. And I think it showed yet last year in the playoffs that by, they kind of gave him 4 days on, 3 days off, where, he'd catch 4, DH, travel day, or some kind of, which I think is the way of the future. I would even like to see him catching a few less games personally, but Gino fits. He fits the clubhouse. He fits the team. But I think the problem is he's also wants to get paid, and he's probably looking for a 2-3 year deal, and I'm not sure Seattle wants to do that knowing what they got coming down the pipe.
Yeah, that's why I think I would give him a 2-year deal with an opt-out after one. pay him a lot for 2026 because I think that you bring Geno back, we're already being in consideration for probably the number 2 title contender behind the Dodgers, right?
Well, that's not what Vegas thinks.
Well, but I mean, if the Dodgers are healthy on paper, that is the best pitching staff, the best hitting, like everything. So
I might argue with you on the pitching stuff, but I can't argue with the lineup top to bottom.
yeah. So, but I think if you bring Suarez back, you put him in our lineup, that makes our lineup top to bottom really good again. And the clubhouse thing is, you can't put a price tag on that.
Hey, I don't hate it, man. I mean, like I said, I don't hate it at all. He's going, if he can play 140 games between third base and DH, sure, yeah. I'm in.
Let's pay him. Let's give him a 2-year deal. Give him an opt out. Give him the $15-20 million that he wants for 2026, and then you get Colt Emerson up there a little bit, and if maybe that works, and if it does, you let him opt out, and hey, peace, or you trade him.
Yeah.
At least then you have a chip. So, all right, the next big free agent, Framber Valdez. How much do you think that his value is still being hurt because of the cross-up with the catcher?
Probably in the neighborhood of $50 to $75 million. Let's be real. That's exactly what's happened.
I mean, the guy throws 200 innings a year.
Mm-hmm.
He's been to the playoffs. He's pitched in big games. What is keeping him from being signed other than if he either wants way too long of a contract, which I don't know who represents him, but if it's Boris, that means he's probably asking for 7 years, which nobody should be giving a 7-year contract to a starting pitcher. So it's got to be the character clause.
I might give it to Paul Skenes.
Yeah, but Paul Skenes is 25 years old.
Oh, you just said nobody. I might give it to Paul Skenes.
Okay. But even then,
might also give it to Kirby and Gilbert too, and maybe Wu. But anyway.
So our entire pitching staff? Yeah. So where do you think Valdez ends up? And that's a tough one.
Well, honestly, I think at this point, he's going to end up on a team that, I mean, honestly, the Mets keep coming out to me because, honestly, I think they're one of the worst run organizations in baseball with that payroll and the results that they've got. It's ridiculous. They're not a well-run franchise. I mean, with that kind of money and New York and all that, and they still can't make it work. I'm sorry, that's just not a well-run franchise. So they've already made some questionable decisions on some of their signings so far this year. The Marcus Semien trade, I'm still not sure I really understand that one. Maybe you got a little upgrade on defense and infield, but
I mean, he can hit a little bit. Yeah, strikes out a lot. But
the guy that they traded him for can hit too. He's been a 300 hitter the last 3-4 years.
Yeah, maybe saves them a little money though.
Well, anyway, I mean, they don't care about money. They just gave Soto $750 million.
Well, and they paid Verlander and Scherzer to go away.
Right. So the Mets strikes me as somebody. Pittsburgh's being funny about spending a little money trying to create relevance.
They don't need arms. They have a really good young pitching staff. They need bats.
San Francisco is a maybe. Baltimore is a maybe, depending on the price. I'm just thinking about teams that are somewhat competitive that need strong arms.
Yeah, so those are the two that I was thinking. I was thinking Baltimore because Baltimore needs starting pitching.
Right.
I mean, this core group is ready for a payday. I mean, Henderson, Adley, they're about to get paid.
Holiday.
Well, Holiday's, 2 years behind those two?
Right, but you get the general drift. It's coming. Yeah.
Colby Mayo, there's Kerstad. There's a lot of good young names there, and they're all going to want to get paid.
Right.
And they're not always going to want to go to arbitration.
Right.
Because that costs them even more. So it kind of seems like, man, Baltimore screwed up a lot last year when they let Corbin Burns go. And they showed, if we don't have starting pitching, no matter how good our defense is, no matter how good our offense is, we're not going to win baseball games.
Well,
so that seems like a perfect fit. They have to do something more than bringing just Zach Eflin back.
I think you're really starting to see that character is becoming more and more of a deal. And I know it's not a football day, but you think about what Seattle did with getting rid of a few rotten eggs on the football team. I think the same thing can be said for baseball on a lot of teams as well. I mean, if you don't work with the guys, if you're a distraction every day of the week, no one wants you there. And I got to tell you, when you've got a catcher that's already been to the All-Star game and hopefully goes to many more down the line. He ain't putting up with that.
No.
And I'll tell you right now, the franchise ain't putting up with that because he's one of the golden boys over there. And maybe it's just a hard no.
Yeah, but the Giants is the other one I think that makes sense. I mean, that's Valdez is a big-time ground ball pitcher, so that's a perfect park to get ground balls in. And you want to throw a sleeper out there? The Rockies. You know, if I'm the new not ownership, but GM, president, head coach, all that kind of stuff, I'm looking for pitchers and players that fit my difficulties that I have in playing in Colorado. So I'm looking for pitchers that can sink the baseball and get a lot of ground balls, keep the ball out of the air. I'm looking for hitters that can elevate the ball, get the ball up in the air.
Well, maybe they should go get Jeter.
Maybe. So, like, if you're trying to turn that franchise around, maybe going out and getting a starting pitcher like that, and hey, they got money. They don't spend any.
I got to tell you, if I'm the general manager with a young team, I ain't bringing that head case into my locker room. I'm just not doing it.
Yeah, but at some point, how are you going to turn this thing around? You have to. I'm saying you got to bring in the right people, and he seems like he's the right type of pitcher to fit in the high altitude in Denver.
I don't disagree with you. I just think the negatives outweigh the positives. And if I got a group of young kids in there, if I am going to bring in a veteran and someone that's going to want some money, he better be a salt of the earth type guy. And
that's not him.
Nope.
No. All right, two more names to talk. Zach Gallen. Pitched really well with the Diamondbacks last year. Still out there. What's his deal?
I think the bigger question is, what's Arizona's deal? You know, they traded thank you very much, Arizona. But we basically stole their first baseman from right underneath their nose, and that's a guy that can play.
Yes.
The funny thing is they go and trade us Gino and Naylor, and they missed the playoffs by half a game.
Yeah.
So there's talent there. I don't know if the ownership is just like, we can't compete with the Dodgers, so we're not going to try right now.
I mean, they just traded with St. Louis and brought Arenado in. Like, what?
Yeah, but
I mean, he's aging and stuff.
And that didn't cost him a ton of money.
Well, it didn't cost him money. Well, but it cost him some prospects. And I think they're paying some of his contract.
Well, I got to pay some of it, sure. Arizona is a mind boggle to me, my friend. I mean, they go out and get Burns, who unfortunately got hurt. And then they go and trade away Naylor, Gino was always kind of on the block. He was a short-term rental, but Naylor's a guy that could have been an anchor in the middle of that lineup for 5, 6, 8 years. That's hopefully, we gave him 5 years worth of money, so let's hope so.
Yeah. Well, and Arizona is also interesting because if they're able to stick around, obviously they're not going to win the division, right? I mean, Dodgers are winning that division.
One would think.
Giants have got a lot better.
Yep.
But they're still missing pitching.
Padres is still a good roster.
But they have these financial issues, so they're talking about trying to sell off the whole thing.
Right.
So maybe they go one more run, maybe not. Think about this for the Diamondbacks. Corbin Burns is expected to be back around the All-Star break.
Okay.
A.J. Puck is expected to be back sometime around the All-Star break.
Okay.
That's two pitchers right there that are all-stars that could join your rotation in the second half of the season. If they can just find a way to kind of stick around and be relevant heading into that, that's an interesting team come July, October. They might make a playoff run. Not divisional, but playoff run. And that's a scary team.
I don't disagree with you, which is why I don't understand the Naylor trade. I get the Gino trade. I don't get the Naylor trade.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't get the fact that they were shopping Marte. I'm like, why not just bring the band back together and run it back?
Well, because I think if you could have got an organization's 3 out of their top 7 prospects for Marte, wouldn't you do that deal? I mean, they were asking for the world, and they just never really got that offer that they were blown away by. So I understand floating a guy. I mean, hey, if I'm the Mariners, why wouldn't you float Colt Emerson out there and see what kind of return you could get? Why wouldn't you float a big name and go, hey, if somebody wants to overpay, like crazy overpay, and I can... Bad example with the Mariners. I could replenish my farm system and save a ton of money. Why not to go out there and see what's out there? I think that's kind of what they're doing, is testing the waters.
Well, yeah, looking's free.
Yeah.
So
although it does create a little bit of potential hostility between player and organization.
Although the other thing that I think let me rephrase that. The thing that I would hope, I could see a GM calling up a dude and going, "Hey, I don't want to trade you, but everybody in the newspaper thinks that I should be trading you or I should be asking for offers. So here's the deal. I'm going to put it out there in the narrative. You ain't going nowhere. Yeah. I don't want to trade you."
Yeah.
So ignore ESPN, ignore The Athletic, ignore whatever for the next week or so. You're going to be the talk of the town for a week, and next week it'll be somebody else, but you're not going anywhere. We love you. It's all good. I would like to think that those conversations get had from time to time.
I think when it's the face of your team, that conversation should definitely being taking place, because that's a big. You don't want that messing with the clubhouse.
No, absolutely not.
All right, I got one more, and we're gonna group these two together because they're both 41, 43 years old.
Okay, so we're talking about Scherzer and Verlander.
Which I'm 43 years old. I can't imagine getting on a mound and pitching in a major league game right now.
Chuck and duck, baby.
Well, I think my 55 miles an hour would be under hitting speed, but I don't think I'd last for more than an inning before they figure that one out.
I was in the facility last weekend throwing batting practice to the boys, and I got it up there at 43, baby. So, okay. I mean,
Can you lift your arm yet?
Actually, I think because I kept it at 43 is the reason I still can lift my arm.
Yeah, but, exactly. Yeah. So what do you think is going to happen with these two? Do you think – so here's what I think. I don't think either of them are employed at the start of spring training.
No.
I don't think either of them are employed by June 1st.
Okay.
And I think by the All-Star break, teams are looking at bolstering a starting rotation, and they're going to find their way onto a team that is destined for the playoffs.
So just going off last year, it appears that Scherzer had a little more in the tank than Verlander. At least that was my eyeball test.
Yes.
Now, both of those guys are going to the Hall of Fame, and both of those guys still know how to get guys out.
Yes.
As a spot starter, mop-up, middle relief issue, I'm thinking playoffs now. Now, they might be the fourth or fifth starter in the rotation, for the stretch run, but I think their value is in the playoffs. A guy gets shelled, and you got to go to the hook early, and it's a 3-0, 4-0 game in the second. Get me to the sixth.
Yes.
I think that's where their value is at this point in their careers. If there was some funny deal day and they had to make a spot start somewhere, you're sitting there going, if you got me 3, I'm really happy, and 4, I'll absolutely love you.
Yeah.
I agree with everything you said. I think they sit back, they're going to go play for a contender. Obviously, neither one of them needs the dough at this point. And it might just be a situation on where, who, and when. So, yeah, I don't see a reason that both of them aren't employed at some point this year, but it's going to be where they want to play, and money's not going to be the issue. It was kind of like Aaron Rodgers with football last year. It wasn't about the paycheck. It was, I want to go play for a winner.
Yeah.
Yep.
We still got a few more weeks left before spring training starts, so there's still a lot of action, and all these players sitting out there just waiting for that offer. And
well, I think there's also a few things that I think there's a few dominoes that could also dictate what happens with some of those guys. Tarik Skubal is domino number 1, and the funny thing is he has a really good relationship with the GM and the owner at Detroit. I just don't know if those guys can get together on, he's a Boris guy, and I don't know how ridiculous they want. I mean, I've heard $450 million is the number that Boris is shooting for over X amount of years. I mean, that's more than $1 million. Basically, he's going to want $1.5 million to get on the mound.
Well, I mean, here's the question. Is there any pitcher out there that you're giving a 10-year contract to?
Paul Skenes.
So 1.
And it wouldn't be at the same value, but Kirby and Gilbert and Wu might be in that conversation. But I don't think you need to go 10. You could probably go 5.
Yeah. So, well, since you're talking about Skubal, there was a debate that just recently came up on MLB Network, and his name is definitely near the top. So who's the best starting pitcher in Major League Baseball? And it kind of comes down to 2 guys, Skubal, Skenes.
Okay.
Now, I was going to pose the question and say, if you were starting an organization, which pitcher would you want on your team? But I don't think that's a true representation, because Skubal's just a little bit older than Skenes is. So obviously the answer would be Skenes, because he's got a little bit longer shelf life, most
well,
likely.
and it's a bigger question, and we factor in what we're going to have to pay him. What our budget concerns are, because I would turn around and argue maybe I go and get two guys at $18 million instead of one guy at $36 million.
Well, let's assume all things equal, because when Skenes hits arbitration, he's going to be a $20 million pitcher, most likely. Well, minimum. It's scaled based on years of service and all these sorts of things.
He's going to reset the market on his big contract. He will reset the market for starting pitching.
Yeah, and the Yankees will be right back to the best team in the American League because they can afford that.
God,
Unless he goes to the Dodgers on a deferred contract.
God, I hope that's not true, but I don't disagree with you. I've said the same thing.
Yeah, unfortunately the Pirates can't pay him. But so who if right now, let's say the Seattle Mariners, you're going to go add a starting pitcher. You bring it on Skubal, you bring it on Skenes. This is an easy one for me.
With our current pitching stuff?
With our current pitching staff, let's say you take any of those pitchers out, maybe you're one or two.
So there's two ways I want to answer this. I think I would want Skenes, but we have a loaded deck of right-handed pitching, and Skubal gives us a lefty.
Exactly. And that's why it's an easy one for me. I'm taking that lefty to mix it up. Because when you looked at the playoffs against the Blue Jays, you're going, all right, Blue Jays are a really good hitting team. They seem to hit the sinker splitter pretty well. Well, what is Logan Gilbert's strikeout pitch? Splitter. What is Luis Castillo's strikeout pitch?
Well,
a changeup.
Used to be.
What is Kirby's pitch?
Right.
So having somebody that was just a different look in a Skubal would be the left-handed, which is why Kate Anderson is going to be a fantastic addition to our rotation.
God,
soon.
you beat me to it. I was just going to say we watched the next coming of Tom Glavine in Omaha last summer. So,
but Skenes is very interesting because that slider, I mean, pretty much every single one of his pitches, I bet if you ranked pitches, his arsenal is probably number one or number two. His fastball is one of the best. His slider is one of the best. Skubal's got him on the changeup. That thing is filthy. But if I'm winning right now today, if I'm the Mariners, I'd rather have Skubal than Skenes.
I don't know. You get to see Livy in the stands every day. I mean, that's got to be worth something, doesn't it?
Yeah, but if she's always surrounded by 300 little 12-year-olds, is that really worth it?
I'm making a joke.
Surrounded by personal security the entire time?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been there, done that.
Been there, done that. Yeah, we saw that in the flesh. But I get the lefty thing, but, man, it's Paul Skenes.
It is Paul Skenes.
I mean, that guy just throws bullets.
Yeah, and Skubal's got, a history of arm injuries. So, he's had, I think, 2 Tommy Johns already. So
yeah. All right. Well, I think this is one that you could have this conversation for an hour and go round and round in circles. And yeah, I get the lefty deal, but it's also Paul Skenes, so I don't know what I would do, to be honest.
Well, if I had an extra $30 million laying around, I'd love to have this debate in real life and figure out which one I'd like to have on my fantasy baseball team.
Well, that's what owners get to do, right? They get to play real life fantasy baseball.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for listening to Lineups and Lures. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to rate, like, and share the podcast. It helps us reach more fans, more anglers, and more stories worth telling. We'll see you next time, whether it's out on the field or out on the water.